In this week's Rogers McHugh YouTube video, we're looking at 3 essential tools for any recruitment business owner. Let's go! Welcome to this week's Rogers McHugh YouTube video. So in this week's episode, we're looking at 3 essential tools for all recruitment business owners. And this has been born because I was on the phone to an ex-colleague of mine that set up their own business, and he was just talking about potential information tools that I felt was important for him running the business. And there's 3 that I came up with that some are free, some you might have to put your hand in your pocket a little bit for. But the first one is Companies House. I'm really big on understanding Companies House, understanding companies' accounts, because it gives you an advantage, or not necessarily an advantage, but it certainly allows you to understand how the market is operating. So one of the things that we will discuss as a management team is where do our margins sit in terms of the market? Are we expensive? Are we cheap? And one way that you can find this out is through Companies House. You can go into Companies House and you can look at your competitors' accounts, because they're all published. Ours are published up there for everybody to see, and you can start working out things like gross margin, gross profit, so your gross profit margin, your net profit margin, and you can start looking at how businesses operate and the percentage of their labour to turnover ratio, for instance. So how much, what percentage of their turnover is going out the door on staff. And in recruitment, obviously staff is a high cost of running the business, because the people are the ones that go and get the jobs in and go and find the people. So it's important that you understand how much of your turnover you're paying in wages and how does that compare. So you can look at market averages, and that'll give you a good idea of whether you're expensive, whether you're cheap, whether your figures sit in the right ballpark. And you can look at a few. Obviously smaller companies you won't be able to have as much information, but if they're classed as a larger company, so I think it's 10 million turnover, 5 million in assets and 50 employees, then they have to publish the full accounts, the full profit and loss, and it gives you the opportunity to start looking at those companies. And if you've got ambitions to grow your business as well, then absolutely they're the companies that you want to be emulating anyway, those that do have to have their accounts audited and those that do have to publish the full accounts. So probably won't get spoken about a lot in necessarily business terms, but Companies House for me is a massive one. The second one that I think you absolutely need is a monthly profit and loss. So if you're new to running a business and you're running a small business like my ex-colleague he's on his own at the minute, he's running it from home, it's quite easy to fall into the trap of managing your business based on how much money you've got in your account. That's really difficult, and it's an issue to do that, because there's things like corporation tax that you won't be taking into account. There's VAT bills that are going to come up further down the line that you're probably not taking into account. So just because you've got money in the bank doesn't mean that you're profitable. I'll use an example, wedding venues. So they generally will take half of the money or some of the money as a deposit up front. They've not actually provided that service yet. So if they then don't provide the service, all these deposits that they're collecting, it's not profit because they've not provided the service, but they'll have money sat there in their account. So you can't manage your business based on what's in the account. You've got to produce monthly profit and loss accounts. And again, just falling back into point 1 with regards to Companies House, you've got to start to understand what they look like, what you're looking for when you receive them. Not just if it's black it's good and if it's red it's bad. Start looking at the nuances. Because also you have things in there like assets for the business, so computers that you'll depreciate over time. So if you have £1,000 computer, for instance, and you depreciate it over 4 years, you'll be taking £250 off the P&L after your net profit every year. It won't show as a deduction of £1,000 the minute you buy it. So on the flip side of that, if you go and buy coffee, £10, that obviously comes off straight away. So understanding the profit and loss. Again, if you're wanting to do it from home, if you're wanting to stay as a one-man band, maybe not as important, but if you're looking at growing it, if you want any kind of scale, making sure that you have the monthly profit and loss or management accounts produced, and also that you start to understand them. And what I would say is that get an accountant before you can afford one, because they're going to be the ones that are producing this for you, or at least a bookkeeper. Get a bookkeeper in to produce this. You're not the expert, go and find somebody that is. And the last one, a good CRM. Something that you can use. I mean, the amount of companies out there, I interview candidates all the time for recruitment roles, and the amount of companies, and quite sizable ones, that still operate on Excel, it baffles me. I don't know how you're possibly going to be compliant with GDPR legislation if you run everything off Excel. B, how can you develop relationships and put together strategies around how you're targeting specific clients if there's no notes, if there's nowhere to log calls, if there's nowhere to store all the information that you're gathering about a potential client that you're targeting? It's just not possible. So a good CRM that's compliant with GDPR, that enables you to do all this monitoring, because the other thing as well is where I say monitoring, as you do grow, it should then allow you to look at ratios. So how many CVs do your staff need to send to get a job in or to get an interview? So they get a job in, how many CVs do they need to get an interview, and how many interviews do they need to get a placement, and how many placements do they need to get a starter? And you can start working back how productive your staff are being, but also where the training comes in and where they might need training. If you've got a consultant that's really good and every single candidate that interviews gets accepted, but they need to get 5 jobs before they get a CV out the door, we need to be working on candidates and how we generate more candidates. If they're not getting any jobs, then obviously you need to be working on your sales activities. So from that CRM, as the business grows and develops, you can look at targeting specific clients, but more importantly, you can look at the ratios, you can look at where the team need improving, you can look at where they need training, and it just helps you grow a better business and obviously tie everything in together. So slightly different really, but they're the 3 things that I would say are essential for any business owner in recruitment. I'd be interested to know your thoughts. What are your thoughts? What do you think is essential? Put it in the comments. More than happy to have a discussion in the comments below, and I look forward to seeing you at the same time next week. But don't forget, if you haven't yet done it, subscribe to the channel and you'll be notified next time there's a new video. See you then.